Got a good one on tap for Sunday night. The Green Bay Packers going on the road to face the New York Giants. BETDAQ currently has New York installed as a 2.5-point favorite in this game, 50.5 the total. Now, if you remember, these teams have some recent history. Last season, Green Bay finished 15-1 in the regular season. They were the number one seed in the playoffs, had home field advantage throughout. But the Giants went into Lambeau Field, beat them handily on the way to the Super Bowl. Don't think that doesn't still sting for these Green Bay coaches and players. I'm sure they'll be thinking about that. They've probably been thinking about it all week in preparation for this game, and I'm sure it'll be foremost in their minds when they take the field on Sunday night to try to exact some measure of revenge, even though winning a game in Week 12 of the regular season does not exactly make up for losing a home playoff game, but I'm sure the Packers would think it's a good place to start. Now, neither one of these teams, in fairness, are playing as well as they were last season when they met in the playoffs, even though Green Bay's won 5 straight games. The Packers have won 5 straight to sit at 7-3, but they are not the same team, especially on offense, just not as good on offense as they have been the last couple of seasons. That's established now. Early in the season, when they were struggling a little bit on offense, we said, well, the Green Bay offense just hasn't woke up yet, hasn't found their rhythm. Well, now we've seen a large enough sample size. We're through 10 games, and it's clear that they're an above-average offense, but no longer an elite offense, and they're not playing at near the level they were last year when they led the NFL in scoring at 35 points per game, Aaron Rodgers winning the league MVP. As a matter of fact, this season, they've only topped 31 points once. And again, last season, they averaged 35 points per game, so big drop-off from this Green Bay offense. I guess you chalk that up to Greg Jennings being hurt. That's the only thing. That's the only major change here with this Green Bay offense. Now, Jennings is their number one receiver, has been for the last few years, but coming into the season, I don't think anybody would have guessed that any one member of that offense, with the exception of Rodgers himself, would have been that important, because Rodgers spreads the ball out so well and has. I mean, you saw last year, for example, when Jermichael Finley, his tight end, one of his favorite targets, when he missed a large chunk of the year to injury, didn't seem to slow Rodgers down at all. When Rodgers himself set out for a game last year, Matt Flynn came in and lit up the world, threw for over 500 yards, I believe, landed himself a big free agent contract in Seattle. So this Green Bay offense, it appeared to be a great system. Now, I guess Joe Philbin, who was officially the offensive coordinator last year, he has gone to be the head coach at Miami now, but we know that Mike McCarthy, the head coach, I mean, he's the play caller in Green Bay. It's really his offense, so I guess you got to chalk it up to Greg Jennings, right? I mean, Greg Jennings, either that or Rodgers is declining, and I'm not willing to say that's happening yet. Funny thing about Green Bay, their defense has actually outplayed their offense this year. Incredible that you're saying that, but you could look at this Packers team and say, well, they're built around their defense. That defense, 15th in the NFL in total defense, 10th in points allowed. That might not sound great, but that's a lot better than they were last year, where they traded off with New England throughout the season for who was statistically the worst defense in the NFL. This season, again, they made big strides on the defensive side of the ball. It's a big reason they're 7-3, despite the fact they've been struggling on offense. Now, the New York Giants, they have not been playing good defense. Their defense has not been outplaying their offense. The Giants have really been struggling recently. They've lost 2 straight games. They're now 6-4, but they're still in great shape in the NFC East. I do not think anybody in the NFC East can challenge the Giants. Who's the second best team? Washington, I guess, after they beat Dallas a couple of days ago on Thanksgiving. I don't think anybody is going to be saying that Washington this year at this time is ready to challenge Giants. I'm sure not ready to say that, regardless of the outcome of this Giants game on Sunday night. But if the Giants want to make a deep run in the playoffs or maybe another Super Bowl run, they're going to have to shore up this defense. Now, we've seen over the last couple of seasons, last year, for example, their defense really was struggling through 12, 13, 14 weeks, but they came together and were playing at a very high level in the playoffs. Seems like this Giants defense throughout the years, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. It's almost like they play when they want to play. If they're highly motivated, they can be very, very good. We know about the Pro Bowlers in that front 7. But it's the back end of that defense that I'm concerned about. They've looked really bad in the secondary in their last few games. I'm not just talking about their last 2 losses. Even the games before that. They had won a couple of games before that, looking very bad in the secondary. 25th in the NFL in pass defense. And even though the Green Bay offense is not what they were last year, not clicking at that same level, still not too bad. 18th in the NFL in total offense, but 10th in points scored. Aaron Rodgers can do his thing. I know there's no true number one wide receiver anymore without Greg Jennings. Still, though, this Green Bay offense, this Green Bay passing attack against the Giants secondary that I've watched for the last month, boy, I like Green Bay's chances in that matchup. Now, the Giants, they have a pretty good offense themselves. Eli Manning in this passing game is the strength of the Giants offense, But we mentioned the Packers have been playing good defense. Charles Woodson is injured. Their great veteran cornerback. They'd been playing him at safety this year, but he's injured. But they still have some good players in that secondary, and they can get after the quarterback. So the Giants' offensive line is going to have to do a good job protecting Eli Manning in this game, and I believe the Giants, they're going to want to win this game. They're going to have to outscore the Packers. Now, I know that if any team wants to win any game, they got to outscore the other team. What I mean by that is I do expect the Packers offense to have success here against this soft Giants defense. So I think the Giants are going to score 28 or more points if they want to win this game. And to tell you the truth, I'm just not sure it's going to happen. The Giants are a tempting bet here. Very short home favorite, only laying 2.5 points. They are coming off a bye. They've lost 2 straight games, so they should be very motivated. But the Giants have not been that great recently coming off a bye. Only 3-8-1 against the spread their last 12 games following a bye. So I'm not sure that bye week means a whole lot. And the Packers, even though they haven't been playing great on offense, they've been playing well on defense, and you have to like what they've been doing. They've won 5 in a row. They've got it rolling a little bit, and the Giants are going in the other direction, and I think the Giants are still going to win the NFC East. I don't think this team is just going to sort of sink into the abyss, but I'm not sure. Maybe I don't have a great feel for it, but I'm not sure this is going to be the game where they start to turn it around, where they rally around each other and really put forth a good performance. Just don't know about that. It almost seems like the Giants on defense especially. Again, most of my criticisms of the New York Giants are on defense. I know Eli's been struggling for the last couple of games, but I don't have many concerns about Eli. I think it's just been a 2-3 game rough patch for Manning. I do expect him to play well on Sunday night. But the defense, I go back to this defense. They look like sometimes they don't play with the same level of intensity as their opponents. And hey, if you can't muster up some intensity against the Green Bay Packers at home on Sunday night, then you're in big trouble. And maybe the Giants will. We've seen the Giants at times last year in that playoff run really step up and play good defense. And maybe this game will be the start of the good, of their run. Like, this is about the time last year. Actually, it was later than this last year, wasn't it? It was after, I believe it was a week 15, they lost to a bad Washington team before they really started that run. But maybe the run will start now for the Giants. I have my doubts, though. I do lean towards Green Bay plus 2.5 in this game. Have a feeling the Packers are going to go on the road and win this one outright.